Welcome back everyone into some Fossil Cup action as we're testing out an ABB team. We're gonna lead effectively with our red steel, while at the back we're gonna be extra weak to those electric moves because both Jellicent and Mountain are gonna share the water typing. However, with a simple strategy you can still emerge victorious against most threats, and this is no exception. What you need to do is to aggressively switch in there with your Jellicent most of the times so that you can draw out the electric type, and not only a Lantern can be an electric type Pokemon, threats like Magneton, Magnezone, or even something like a Togedemaru might emerge, and since no one is playing double electric, this team can be extremely good. By baiting out the electric type with your Jellicent, then you can finish it off with the combined efforts of your Jelly and Reggie, so that your Mountain will most likely have no other weakness at the very end. And most people tend to have a fighter like Lucario, a Escavalier, or even something like a Poliwrath, so you can always emerge victorious on that incident. So now let's return to the commentary as we're having the Go Lysopod on the closing part, and this trainer now is extremely weak to our Mountain. So what we want to do here is to go ahead and completely farm down this Pokemon, and since they only have now only Poliwrath, we're just gonna emerge victorious from that battle. And so electric types are also a core breaker for up in front, because every single electric type Pokemon will actually finish off your Registeel if you are not careful. So the key here is to use your Reggie mainly as a punching bag, but at the same time you want to land at least one of those nukes. So we managed to do that effectively on the first try, and after we apply the debuff, we get the chance here to survive and of course have the upper hand with the Focus Blast to finish off Lantern as well. This is how good the Registeel can be in the meta, and you might already have seen my IVs on your left. They are horrible and terrible, so if you have better IVs on your Pokemon, this team will actually perform even better. So this team was suggested to me by a member of our Greek community, and that was absolutely awesome. Shout out to Novaridis, because he made quite the statement with this team, and it worked pretty much instantly for me. The strategy is simple, it's only up to you to grab it and make it your own. Now with the Ferrothorn coming into the game, we are gonna get destroyed down by that Power Whip, but in the process we took that final shield out of play, and right on CMP we're just gonna fire off the RLAs while they're trying to get on the Thunder. Down goes Ferrothorn. This is still awesome for us because Lucario is at the very end. I'm telling you, everyone is having a fighter for the very end game, and this team can absolutely handle that threat. So now they're switching out on the Lantern, trying to catch my move, but we know better, able to overfarm a little bit more, and I'm just gonna switch out on my Registeel, trying to catch the move. I'm not sure if that worked, but still it is what it is, and in the process we can finish them off with our moves. Now it all depends on the Water Pulse, on if it can one-shot down Lucario. Of course it can, and down they go. Registeel, the Metal Trascan, is gonna have a rough time against fighters, so you need to play accordingly with your backline, and this is how you can manipulate the backline towards your advantage, not only to bait out something like an electric type, but also to protect your Reggie from the fighters. So Escavalier is no different, and we're just gonna switch out on our Jellicent as we're meeting up with the Ferrothorn. This is a Pokemon that is also kinda of a very bad one for our backline, especially when it carries the move Thunder for our Mountain. So with that in mind, we're just gonna shield here, because I have a weird feeling that we can easily snipe them down with the Surf, and if we're not, well, we have at least the shield even scenario, and of course we can go for the switch right after to predict the Power Whip and catching it on a Registeel. They did not expect that, so they back out, and that's gonna be a magnificent battle for us. Into the next game now with the Lantern up in front. Once again the core breaker is gonna be the electric typing, so let's see how well we can do over here. Zap Cannon is gonna be blocked, but still we applied the debuff, which is absolutely great, and now we're just gonna keep going at it for more moves. So they end up going for the Surf here. I'm not sure if that is gonna be the most energy efficient move to throw, but we're just gonna keep going at it with another Zap Cannon. Perhaps we can apply even more pressure on the again with another debuff. Are you kidding me? This is huge, and if that is gonna be a surf, we can still survive. Instead they throw Thunderbolt, which is a great move for them because right now they can easily finish us off. So I guess that after 2 debuffs we can easily survive 1 Thunderbolt, and by saying easily we take about 50% of damage, which is still kinda crazy. Anyways, we get the chance to one-shot down this Pokemon now from this range with a simple surf. Down goes Lantern, and it all depends now on their backline. So another pseudo-electric like Ferrothorn emerges due to Thunder being on its moveset, but before they do anything weird, we can still apply so much pressure with another Shadow Ball. This is how good Jellicent can be. Even up against its counters, it has always something to throw, and pretty much anything in the meta is on the 2-shot scenario with a double Shadow Ball. So at this point we can easily survive till the very end game without the Lantern threat, since we have the shield advantage over our opponent and we're gonna use them for the Thunders. So down goes that Ferrothorn. Poliwrath is at the very end once again with a fighter, and the lag kicks in. So with all that lag, you can see here that we cannot quite manage those wing attacks to pass through, but it was kind of a scary situation that we can definitely survive from, since those wing attacks and the RLAs are gonna be kinda clutch for the opponent. Into the next game now with a Jellicent up in front. Kind of a good lead here because we can survive 1 Shadow Ball, while a simple Zap Cannon will do tremendous amount of damage on that Pokemon. So I decide to take the move. Oh my goodness, I decide to block. Okay, I totally caught off guard myself here. So Zap Cannon now is gonna be the move that we're gonna throw, and I guess that we did that because at that point I was thinking if I can block the move and then go for the Zap Cannon to debuff them, the next move will not hurt that much, and my opponent switches out on the Wormadam, which is kinda weird. So I know that this Pokemon carries moves like Bug Buzz and Iron Head, both of which we can easily survive on our Jellicent. So after we charge back to a Zap Cannon with our Reggie, now we can easily come into the battle with our Jellicent to survive the moves and obviously charge up a ton before we finish them off. This Wormadam goes down. Now they have the return of the Jellicent and we lose the CMP. So down we go to their move, which ends up being a Shadow Ball, and now we can push even further with another Zap Cannon, that Jelly. Both of them shields are out of play, and I know here that I have only one chance to victory is if we can block here the move correctly, and by doing so we can still reach and outspeed this Pokemon to a simple Focus Blast. So down they go with the Nuke. Now Jellicent is at the very end once again, but Mantine can emerge victorious even with the worst possible IVs. As you can see here, this is a lucky Mantine that I'm having, and I have built it up quite a few years back, so that's why I have so bad moves, so bad IVs actually. The moveset is absolutely insane, and you definitely need to have Water Pulse, even though most of the times you're gonna use RLAs. Into the next game now with a Pelipper up in front. So this is obviously kinda of a good lead for us, and we're gonna see now Lucario kicking in. So with a Thunder Punch, this Pokemon can be a severe threat, but I was expecting the Thunder Punch and not the Shadow Ball from the amount of counters that they did, so that's why I let the move go through, and now if we can block here we might actually have the upper hand over Lucario. Thunder Punch is gonna be blocked, absolutely awesome, and they're getting severely low, which means that one Surf might actually do the trick over here. Down goes Lucario, now the return with a Pelipper, and we have one Shadow Ball to do severe damage on their defenses. However, they are still kinda high on HP, so that we cannot finish them off with a simple, with actually a bit of pressure from our Locons. So at this point, I decide to go for the Zap Cannon over a Scavalier, and I guess that if we can get the shield out of play, we can still have the upper hand with Mantine over the fighter. Well, once again, you can see that my opponent is having a fighter at the very end, and obviously this is a certain strategy that most people tend to follow, so that's why we can have the upper hand over here. Able to overfarm so much, keep the shield into play, Water Pulse for the win, and now the RLAs to guarantee the knockout over Pelipper. This Pokemon might deliver babies, but we deliver the wins, and that is absolutely awesome. So Magneton now is gonna be our next opponent. opponent, and this is kind of a big one because Magneton and Magnezone are two Pokemon that you are basically most afraid of. So I decide to stay in there with my Registeel. Let's see how this is gonna go, because Focus Blast here is gonna do tremendous amount of damage, most probably gonna one-shot down a whole family of those Magnetons, and I guess that if we block here, perhaps we can get the chance to get both of them shields out of play. So I decide to do that, and in the process we managed to get the shield, but unfortunately for us we need to switch out on our Jellicent. So my opponent is still staying in, and I have a weird feeling that we can finish them off. However, I lag a little bit and we miss the timing to throw the Surf. So you can also see here that lag plays a huge factor on a lot of battles, and my opponent here with the Golisopod might actually be able to survive the Surf. So not only that, but also with 1 HP left, they get to their charge attack and almost finish us off. So Magneton now returns into the game. I know that I have to catch the move on my Registeel, and most probably they are gonna have something like a Poliwrath at the very end. Here comes the move, absolutely awesome. We caught it on a Regi, Metal Trash Can goes down, and Mantin has to reach now on the Aerial Ace to finish them off. However, Shadow Magnezone can still survive the move, Shadow Magneton, excuse me, and at this point we fall down on the discharge before we even get to know their final Pokemon. A lot of laggy incidents happened over there, but still it is what it is, and my opponent absolutely almost swept me down by using only Shadow Magneton. What a great win for them. Into the final one now, as we're getting a very bad lead against Escavalier and the worst case switch in against Lantern. You know what, this is still absolutely fine. Remember the strategy that I told you earlier? Well, this is the main way to play this. You need to keep Mantin as your second anti-fighting option or anti-Mad Boy option, so that your Registeel will most likely finish off the in-between Pokemon with the combined efforts of Jellicent, and in the process Mantin will most likely have no other weakness to be afraid of. So here comes now Drillrun to almost finish us off, and I say almost because Shadow Ball is ready to go, and down they go, at least one of their shields, which is still pretty great. Now with Mantin over Escavalier, we can hope for the best at the very end game with a Registeel, and since we can survive pretty much anything they can throw, Whiscash joins the party. So Whiscash is a Pokemon that I'm always afraid of with my Registeel, and since they have both the Whiscash and that weird looking Escavalier, I guess that we can block here the Blizzard, we can have the upper hand. However, they end up going for the Scald, and this is still crucial information because it might mean that we can catch the Scald on our Registeel. I was counting the moves and I was pretty sure this was the perfect opportunity for them to throw that charge attack. Anyways, now with the Scald, they're gonna apply the debuff, but Lock-ons always do only 1 damage, and before we go down to the counters, we manage to deliver the lethal blow with our Focus Blast. This means now that they are shieldless, we have to survive the following moves with our Mantin, and perhaps we can emerge victorious over this trainer with a couple of Aerial Aces. This is gonna be extremely close. Whiscash still has a little bit of energy left, but before they get to the Scald, we get access on the Aerial Ace, and that is gonna be a fantastic win to end today's content. That is gonna be all for today, trainers. Before you go, leave a huge like, subscribe to my content, and I hope to see you all into the next one.